say no, I don't just lying out. How can they walk away with that big old smile? And they know that was not fair, how was that even a trial? Trayvon just want justice, KD rest in peace. Tell me how are they able to run these streets? We walk in fear and we get blamed for all this mess. Sometimes I feel that pain deep up in my chest. Tell me this is all we can do, not the best. US, we got to stand up and go past the test. Let's change our thing, Mission1Race. I'm tired of these lies holding us back. We need the youth to change this world for life. How do you smile at me but think you hate my friend? Are we not all the same? Are we not here on earth? Trying to live this life and make it more than worth. It's more than money in this life, it's all about us. Trust is my friend, you will see in life in the end. It will be who you love and not how much you spend. Tell me God how I can walk. I'm hurting that I don't. I wanna walk away, but I'm teaching less. The pain right here, it's falling down. Oh, it's temporal, living in pain. Let's change our thing, Mission1Race. I'm tired of these lights holding us back. Like Michael said, no, I don't like just love. Like Michael said, no, I don't like just love. Let's change our thing, Mission1Race. I'm tired of these lies holding us back. We need the youth to change this world for love. We need the youth to change this world for love.
Welcome, family, friends, new folks, international family, United States of America family. My name is Richard John Relaford, aka Rich Rel. I am the founder and president of this movement, Mission1Race, and that's what we're presenting to you. Is this 8 hours to choose, what we've been presenting. And it's been an interesting journey, personally, as an org, as a movement. And I think even with you, I'm thankful of the response. I'm thankful of the thousands that have engaged in some way, whether it's sharing it, whether it's watching it, whether it's commenting, whether it's yeah, any of those things, and those that will, because these are all are living and going to be on Mission1Race on our Facebook under live. You can see these videos, and we'll probably make them available on YouTube as well. And it's helping just flush out these principles that were inspired, not necessarily from just our head, but as far back as immediately when I felt propelled to run that 250 miles over that 6 days, and then launch the movement to directly put strategy and energy behind not only undoing the lie of intrinsic difference and therefore devaluation and therefore bias and therefore prejudice and therefore discrimination, and then leading to hate, sexism, phobia, and judgment and all these other things, right? But walking towards oneness at a time when it really, at the time, was not popular, nor I think completely understood. And it's crazy to think that then we go public, right? Because we've been going around, been here since April 7th, 2019, when I started in San Diego on my way to Santa Barbara alone, where I invited folks in, but did not have the network or the resources or the exact plan or everything around it. And then all I heard was a voice saying, Richard, you please tell them that I'm actually love, and I love everyone. And I don't know, there's this misrepresentation and say that everyone gets my love. Please let them know there's no lines. Those lines are false lines that I've made one time, every single human being, male and female. And then from that birth out every ethnicity and version and color and complexity. That's the beautiful stuff. That's the uniqueness. That's not the negative. That's the stuff to celebrate. And then somehow it's been made into something negative. We put social aspects and we put hate behind it. Then bad actions and hate from others are now scarring our souls, scarring the most wonderful thing in life. It's people. So when we get to this hour 7 out of these 8 hours where we're saying choose, because we can be a country of love, not hate, and that's what's on our paperwork, and we should be acting like what's there, and let's live out the vision instead of saying we're all bad or we're all good in a very mindless, blind way, because we know that's obnoxious. We see the hate has been brought to the public platform, but it's been happening quietly for not just Black Americans, but brown Americans, but immigration, or at the time Italian Americans, and at the time women and females and those with different sexual identity. And we just go down a list, and those with different types of ability where we just leave them behind. We're saying no more leaving people behind. We're saying no more being okay with folks just being in the margins. And Mission1Race is not here to point fingers, because no one even on a part of this movement that's a part of it, including myself, has arrived, nor will we arrive. We're perfectly rid of our bias. So what is even the point? So we get here to hour 7 and we say, we wanted you to understand. We wanted you to forgive. Those are the first 2 hours. Then we wanted you to go ahead and relate to someone, so then maybe we can heal the hurts that we've done to each other through our actions or lack thereof. Then we say connect with somebody, because humans were made for connection and life is better with connection. And we said that will lead us to the point where we can get to that magic word that everyone loves, is reconciliation. And you think maybe we're done there, or people want to fast forward to that, which we just saw. If you haven't watched that hour, watch it. But we're saying, no, it's not done. And matter of fact, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't even make sense without this one, love. Listen, it comes down to it. If you're a person where you say, absolutely, I don't care, and I have no love or for anyone else, why would you ever be motivated to be one with them? I get it. And without love, it really doesn't make sense, right? Because you just go ahead and do your thing. Tough luck. Life's hard for you. You've been dealt a tough hand. The problem with that is if you dare say, I have the love of God in my heart. If I dare say, I'm going to walk out like Jesus, we don't get to get off like that. We don't get to do that, nor should we want to, because that is the opposite. We've been called to the ministry of reconciliation and the law that he said everything else in the whole Bible, if we want to get legalistic and religious about it, is love your Father, our God, with all our might and understanding and being, and love others as we would love ourselves. There's no way out. There's no lines. There's no pre-qualifications. Love is the beginning and end and through, and the reason and the motivation that we were created and made. It was the reason that we do have life, is that practice of walking it out. And you're saying to yourself, but Richard, if I knew you, your love life is not perfect. Or if you knew me, I already fell in love because of that. And I'm saying to you, we're not even talking about the same love. There's 3 different types of love, and all of them beautiful. Eros, romantic love. We know that the love stories and movies, that's awesome emotionally. And that's a connection. It doesn't really it can lead to action, but that's not where we're getting off. Philia is the next type of love. And you can look this up yourself. That's brotherly love. That's friendship love. And that's important. And guess what? We should have it, and it does motivate, and that does throw out hate, and it does throw out discrimination. But what happens if you don't even know the person? What happens if you don't even have any attraction towards them with Eros, right? There's always the most powerful love, and that's agape. And that love means I don't even need to know the details about you. Matter of fact, you don't even have to be perfect to get it, because it's unconditional. That's the one we're talking about. That's the love that says it's not okay for me to have so much access to basic resources and then say 1 billion people don't even have access to water. It's the one that says, I'm glad that I have all these opportunities to be educated fairly and to be treated like a full human. And this other person is objectified and reduced down to just a word because of their past, or because of their difference in lifestyle, or because of their difference in faith. I came in hot, but I want to say that we're going to look at a definition here. We're going to look at a couple of verses, and we're going to get into a powerful interview and moment that I shared with my father, who was 81 years old, who was also part of the documentary. You probably saw him. And we have a discussion around love. I'm convinced that, yes, this 7th step, not accidentally. Again, I wish I could tell you I was that strategic around it. They just came to me. I wrote them down. We've been walking them out. This does complete it. But we have another step. So listen to what I'm saying. It does complete it, but the last step that we're going to lean into will be unique. But love is that 7th number, that number of completion. The reason for it makes things make sense even when the math doesn't make sense. Even when you might have to lay something down, you might have to be misunderstood, or be misunderstood in your circles, and you're saying, I don't know what it is, but I just don't think it's all right that even though I'm not of this ethnicity or this gender or this background or this location or this country or this of whatever it is, I just don't think it's okay that this human being is being treated like this. That's oneness. So I want to go into this video. I want to go into this definition very quickly. And these 2 verses are critical to what we want to do. If you've watched the documentary, this is the one that I couldn't even read, and it's going to happen again because it's so mistaught. For God so loved the world. He keeps messing with me around this. He so loved the world. How did we lose that? That he gave his only son. That whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. This has been used in the wrong way. This is showing the intention of a loving God that gets blamed and used to hate, when he's telling you right here, his motivation wasn't the people that whatever time in their life, right, they've been exposed to church and exposed to Christian teachings and so forth. Those are the ones I died for. He died for the whole world. Even a person, we don't have to go down the list, everyone. That's the biggest lie that I'm praying that we wake up from, that he died for a handful or a certain amount of million. We've talked about it before in the will believes. Everybody is a potential will believe at some point, those of you that are people of faith. And if you're not, I want you to hear that whether you believe it or not, he died for you. And that's agape love. So that ties right in. So even if you're at a place where you're like, shut it up, I don't want to hear it, not offended. I love you, I die for you. Matthew 6:27-33. But to you who are listening, I love that because everybody's not listening. But to you who are listening, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you. It keeps going on from there. Listen, this one's dangerous here for the other side of the coin of oppression. For the other side of being done wrong, it's, I don't know when we start high-fiving eye for an eye. We can't have both. Grace, mercy, and truth. Listen to me carefully. I'm not saying not accountability. I'm not saying there's not consequences for actions. But after that fact, the supernatural in this is there has to be a turning of the corner. Where we want even the people who have yet to be awakened or be enlightened to the fact that they have believed a lie and decided to hate people because of skin or some other false line, right? That we still have love for them. Definition: a strong affection for one another arising out of kinship or personal ties. That's the power in the steps before we get to love, you all. Because I guarantee you, as we're going through understanding, when you start to understand things, it's like, wait a second, wait, it's gonna be stupid. You like Fruity Pebbles? My favorite cereal. You're gonna say, Richard, what are you doing? You're all over the place. I know I am, but that's what I'm talking about. Is that basic? We've all had those moments. Have moments like when somebody taught me that guacamole came from avocados. It's a real moment. Don't lie. I was 30 years old and living in Southern California before I even tied the two. I'd never had guacamole before. And we had a little moment of kinship. I was like, thank you, my brother. To hold dear, to cherish, love. We start cherishing people, holding them dear. Yes, the legislation has to change, but I guarantee you're voting a different way and talking a different way when you cherish people. Because now that person that's going to be affected by the way that an unjust, right, a systemic or a program that's indirectly socioeconomically affecting someone else, right, that will influence that. So I want you to be encouraged. We're going to roll into this interview. I thank you for being with us. Stay, because I'm going to close it very quickly after we are done. This is John Relaford, trucker, blues guitarist, foreman, father, man of faith. So much more you're going to find out. You know, and again, my father specifically, I found out a secret about him in this interview, and watch it here. All right. Peace and love.
When I look at you, then my eyes is this way. Do I look at me?
The same problem I have. Listen, and by the way, I'm not going to lie to you because this is the gold. I gave you a fair running start, but I am recording now, and I will use anything I think is necessary from this point on.
Didi told me to look at the camera, so
yeah, I would say look at the camera if you can, but I don't always, because
I'm looking at you, and then I guess my eyes is probably
it looks
on
okay.
one side. Okay,
I think people are used to it, kind of.
Well, I can get more out of things when I look at people, you know.
Yeah, so I prefer I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. So just as my reference, but I'm taking notes for you because you're my father. Let's get that awkwardness out of the way.
I hear you.
Whatever. So I'm sending all complaints and positives. You get them both, John Relaford. Of people saying,
"Are you recording already?"
Oh, I'm recording. We're in there.
Okay.
All complaints and or accolades at some level you're talking to the man of the man. So ask him. I mean, I wish this was live. So I will be honest, we were pre-recording this portion, but I'm sure in the chat, there's going to be chats. And if they want to see more right off the bat, so I don't forget, you blessed the documentary that we had. That was impromptu. Again, I've been giving props out to Patches O'Houlihan, my friend Patrick Van Bussicum, and he said to me a couple things leading to that interview. He said, Richard, worst case, you're going to have memories made with your father someday, right? Because we don't live forever in the sick, because he did the same thing with his father. I'm just being honest with you. So I had a dual purpose. I thought maybe it could help towards this documentary that we had no budget with, that we didn't know what was going to happen. But also, I had never had that conversation with you. And we find ourselves.
I'm going to tell you a little secret, Richard. You picked a very interesting subject, and I had a little experience on a presentation on love, because what had happened is I was trying to be a certified instructor for the state of Illinois, and I had picked a subject that I thought was interesting. So I picked how to understand and control your love life.
Wow.
Now, your love life as it relates to individual love, you know, romantic type of love. But now I know that since we talking about the oneness, then we got to focus this love on how to understand as it relates to Mission 1 and how to have some sort of influence, impression, or cooperation from people. So to start out, love is very complex, but it's an emotion, and it's many emotions. So emotion is almost like a root dispenser, and the deeds that comes from a person that's positive is assumed to come from love, and not totally love itself, but it kind of comes from that root. So anyway.
So Daddy, so as we were looking at that, and I want to make sure what I haven't done an awesome job of, besides you being my father, John Relaford, I think folks need to know, because if you just look at this tape, you're not going to understand. You're born in 1939. Not trying to put your business out there in the street, but I just want to let people know, like, you've seen some things. I'm being serious, and born in, and so that's what I'm hoping. We cannot assume, right? And I'm saying this to myself as I talk to you, that everyone's seen the documentary yet. Tens of thousands have, but soon there'll be hundreds of thousands and millions, God willing, because I think there's awesome story of love in there. But let's step back to that, because you were born and raised in Hope, Arkansas. I don't know if I could say that, but I've heard it said that way before. Hope, Arkansas, the home, as well as Bill Clinton, across the tracks, though, on the other side of the tracks. Right. One of 12, do I have it right, in Hope, Arkansas. John Relaford, John William Relaford, that's where your nickname comes from, JW. I didn't know that for years. Well,
actually, I was named JW, and the school system wanted that JW to mean something. So we had to come up with the John William thing.
Wait a second.
I was born JW. My cousin named me JW.
This is not supposed to be a family history moment, and you probably should tell me these things before I'm 41. I mean, your name is actually JW?
Honest truth, ask your sister. I got about a room full of documents on every subject, every situation, every incident that I ever been through. In fact, I did a poem, Happy Birthday America, in 1776. And I was mentioning some of the shortcomings and some of the things that I thought that may improve, may go either way. And I had made a statement, I'm just gonna sit back and wait and see how it turns out. When I ain't even going into the details, how it doesn't turn out, because there's so many interpretations of what's happening now. But anyway, yeah, I am. That's a lot of information that we can share. But
no, but I wanna. So we go from Hope, Arkansas, 1939, right? And you gave the first thing was the foundation, and you gave us some backdrop, believe it or not, over, yes, if you even look biblically, there's three types of love, right? There's eros, romantic love, and people often get caught in that net. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's very emotional. You got phileo, if I'm saying it right. Someone will correct me, the Bible scholars.
Look like I'm interviewing you here,
right?
young man. But go ahead.
No. This is a give and take. This is a give and take.
Go ahead.
Phileo, and then agape. And when people hear that word, and we even read the other day a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. on one of the hours, that this is a perfect handoff, because he was talking about how this agape love is really the only answer to hate. It's really the only solution. And I think, and I know you feel the same way. So did you start off with that kind of, because if you do watch the documentary, you see you making statements like, we have to, you can't go around with all that love, with all that hate in your heart. You have to have love.
Right.
But let's take us the right route. Like, it didn't start off that way. You weren't down there.
No, Richard, I've had many occasions to develop a sense of love through interaction with people. I've had opportunities to have extreme hate. So I went from all degrees to the other, but through the sense of rationing, in other words, reasoning, then I kind of come out what I thought is a reasonable balance. And I guess I had a little example that happened to me yesterday, and I do some part-time work for a Caucasian guy, since a lot of emphasis on race right now. So I do a lot of work for this guy, and 2 days in a row, he had me sitting there waiting on my paycheck. Now, did this guy hate me? Or this guy, what? He sure don't love me. So, but now here's the way the incidence of love and hate plays out. You can't make any decision on one or two isolated incidents. So I was sitting there and I was thinking, I said, now, when my wife died, this guy gave me $5,000. I didn't ask for nothing. And then before she died, a few months, she wanted to fence around the place in the wintertime. He put up the fence, about a $6,000 fence. And I says, how do I pay you? He said, you don't. But now this is the same guy. I can't wait 2 days to get my money he owed me without thinking maybe he hates me, or not necessarily hate, but he,
I know what you mean,
dislikes me. So this is a portion of the opposite of love. But so I guess the point is, love can be really complex, but in the occasion of oneness, somehow we got to look at what people need other people to relate to, how we can help them to satisfy the various emotions that could cause resentment or hate, or whatever it is that we would like to accomplish.
Yeah, I think you said something there.
People. Huh? Yeah.
You said something there, because the first part with love, defining it, you said it's an emotion, and oftentimes that's where we leave it. But the reality of love, and even compassion especially, it is an action-based word. Like, we know, right, love is there in the building, and oftentimes we know hate is around based on the actions and or lack thereof. Right. So it's not purely, it's complicated, because someone could do the right things because of laws, let's say, or let's say because they don't want to get caught. Like, their motivations could be completely wrong, and they're doing the right things because they know they would be in trouble. Or someone could not be doing the right things and saying in their heart, I have love for you, and there's a contradiction there. So it's almost like there has to be an alignment of that. I'm hearing what you're saying, right? And I'm saying you're doing what I'm hearing, that you're saying that you love me, and your actions are lining up with what you're saying.
Right. And so based on my assumption for Mission 1 as it relates to love, I believe that any emotion that we have, whether it be love, whether it be fear, whether it be shyness, whatever it is, can be dealt with and cultivated into a process of unity, which we talk about becoming oneness now.
Yes.
In other words, not causing problems, negative action one towards the other, but interacting in a positive way in a oneness fashion.
Yes.
I might be getting out of focus here.
No, you're not getting out of focus. We have a plan out of play. And before and after this interview, I'm going to be going into like define all of that stuff is built into the introduction to this. So this conversation is fitting right in the midst of the sandwich of the flow. So I really don't want you to feel any obligation to explain almost anything. I really want to hear like your heart on the matter. Like I'll say this: love. Here's the question: is it even essential? Could you take love out of the equation and get to oneness? I mean, like, let's be that extreme. It sounds extreme, but could you just rationalize your way through these steps? Could you go understand, forgive, relate, heal, connect, reconcile, act, and then don't worry about trying to love anybody, and you can be one? Let's go there.
Okay, let's focus on, let's just say, a road, a highway, rules of the road. You can follow the rules of the road, go exactly where you're trying to go, bypass, meet other people, and stay with the prescribed order, the speed, the lines, the curves, the this and that. So you can follow instructions probably without any constant emotional interaction, outputs, references. You know, you're not revealing too much of anything. So I guess you could come up with sort of a structured format, guideline, and say, let's just do this until we, you know, can kind of come up with something else. But at least, you know, we can draw some lines and stay focused on, you know, just almost the mechanics of staying in a sense of direction. So, well, anyway.
But what happens? So you think, and this is happening. So you think there's a chance, and quite frankly, I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's what's been happening for maybe not 244 years, but maybe the Emancipation Proclamation. I'm just thinking through this, and people are saying, wait a second, these slaves, we're talking, because this is the United States of America. These slaves are free. I know deep down in my mind, in my heart, nothing has changed, but the law says I can't own them. We're just talking, so I'm not going to own them. And the law now says they're equal human beings, but nothing has changed in my heart. I don't. So I'm going to submit to you that all the head stuff, even the politeness, I've experienced polite racism. Have you experienced polite? I'm saying minus love. I'm saying minus love.
No, but you're right, because
that's what you end up with. You end up with.
I said to Ike, man, I was in Alabama. The people that open the doors for you, they do this and they do that. They smile. He said, but they won't surrender no equality leverage, no financial advancements, it's some of the basic stuff that people harbor. You know, they don't surrender that. Now, once you tell people, or you can talk them into, okay, it's better for all of us if we share, or we get some sort of means. In other words, Richard, you wouldn't believe this, but I remember when the quota system went out.
What is that? What do you? Whoa! You can't
mean that
something again. You gotta help us out. What is the quota?
If a government contract was given, then you had to show where, say, 8% of your employees was Black. Okay. Whatever you do, it had a quota, it had a measurement for you to report. And all of a sudden somebody said, well, let's just make somebody a CEO of a company and forget the quota system. They use that one person to say, we don't need no quota. Here's somebody at the top of this thing.
Yeah.
And that's when everything started going down. It was almost like, let me tell you a little secret. Has a little bit to do with racism. I got some guys out at Leisure Lake, and we got different political views, but we can understand and appreciate good jokes. So one day on Halloween, I put on a construction hat, and they said, it's white guy, they looked at each other, look, a black man with a construction hat. I might not be a joke to many people, but black people don't do construction in Illinois. That's where the money is. I'm telling you that. So
I can't wait for my friend Jimmy. I'm calling you out. We literally just had a conversation about it. Keep going about this thing. Just for some reason, the cultural, social, economic gap, like black in construction and certain other trades. We don't anyway. And we're not saying right or wrong or how exactly, but that there does seem to be a gap there. So he's making fun of that, meaning he's never seen a black construction.
Yeah, it was actually funny because they knew and I knew that that's about one of the prettiest Halloween jokes I could do. Show up at the party with a construction hat on, but I didn't think of that way. Anyway,
so let's harken back to this love moment.
Okay.
Because I think we were there where, and I don't have. Here's the thing in this conversation that I'm noticing, John Rutherford, my father. Everyone's an expert now. Here's my problem with that. If everyone was an expert and had all these answers, then shame on us and shame on them. Because why are we sitting here? And that's not pointing any fingers, but I'm just saying there probably should be a lot more humility around the fact that none of us have had this figured out, right? And my point for that is now here's how this ties into what we're talking about. You can't take love out of this because the math doesn't work out then. See, love changes the math, right? It changes the math because love says it's okay to suffer even if you don't get benefit from it. Love says it's okay that if this equation doesn't come out to my advantage, that doesn't make it wrong and actually could make it right.
You know what, Richard?
Love is the secret sauce that goes, that's why I want to forgive, right?
Sometimes you have to know something about something and able to love it. You know, you can have a piece of shiny glass and you thought it was glass and somebody says this is a diamond. All of a sudden you love this thing, you know, because you know the value of it. So the same way about people, if they can start interacting and kind of making deals, if you assist me in this, I'll assist you in that. And we all can be a benefit to each other through the positive interaction.
Yes.
Because that's where that spirit is revealed through your interaction, through your action. You know, whether it's love, whether it's hate, or whether it's like or dislike, any other of the degrees of that love or hate. You know,
So break down this statement for me. If you're coming from Arkansas, 15 years old, you leave home because you did feel that pressure. It's amazing how we are intentionally enter this world at certain times, because I'm telling you right now, that would have been too much for me. The polite racism, the outright outbursts of N-words and all that, the indirect things that I felt have been enough to almost break me. At races and things, you know, events with people like physically doing me wrong and as well as trying to get at me. So I don't understand, I don't understand how you go from that to giving me the statement that some people, again, haven't seen the documentary yet, the statement that really launched me into a place of a life of oneness without even knowing it. You just said it to me in passing. You didn't remember you said it. You said, Richard, right? We got to say it because we can't assume people's heard the saying. You're saying you were born in Arkansas, went away at 15 down there. It was absolutely segregated. You basically picked cotton. It was indentured servitude, right? And you said, what more do people want from you than an honest day's work? Remember that statement? And
Right,
then
but
you say to me,
that's what I
in
want
Chicago,
you to.
hold on, Dad. I know, and I'm gonna let you go. And I'm gonna back up.
No, go ahead.
Because the statement is, Richard, you would be a fool. I remember you saying to me, I'm like, first of all, it's random. Why are you even talking about this? You said, Richard, maybe I had a moment. Maybe I had a moment back in school, right? Where I had a study group or something like that. I know I was furious, probably. I had a temper. And you said, Richard, you would be a fool to assume that a man is just your friend because he's black or your enemy just because he's white. You're just talking about your life. And you said some of the best things that have happened to me at the hands of some white folks, and some of the worst by the hands of some black folks. You take every man or woman for themselves. And you just walked off. It wasn't some deep conversation. I'm just being real. It was like, take that. And for me, it was like, what? Take every man or woman for themselves? Okay, why not? And if I look at my life, there's contradictions throughout on all sides. Where for a moment there, right, if you get a certain type of person that's black, I can put him in category 2. Okay, I know what he's on. He's looking out for himself. He's going to throw me under the bus, right? It's a little bit of that sellout energy, if you want to call it. Like, so even that can creep in. I had a conversation we had a conversation on Connect where Mona, right, a Mexican American, third generation, is not Mexican enough by other people's standards, by folks that are recently first generation Americans, right? So there's that pressure there too. So all of these different things aren't just black and white and so forth. There's sometimes within. So my point for all of it is, how did you get to taking every man or woman for themselves? There's no class. What changed in your heart?
You know what, Richard? I'm glad you opened this up in that way. A lot of people, they just assume that I've been humble, that I've gave everybody what they were looking for out of me down through the years. It wasn't that way. I've stood up like a real man all my life. Since 9 years old, I've told law enforcers, judges, everybody, people that I worked for, people that I work with, people that I be around, I've told them exactly how I feel about pretty much everything. I've had situations going where my protesting was so severe in Kansas City, they called me in the office and said, Mr. Robert, another pay raise, name it. Another job title, name it. Just leave us alone. I'm gonna tell you something. That piece of protesting is just something, it pays off. I haven't kissed up with people. I haven't traded out when people said, I want to do this to your employee and use my authority to do something that I don't believe in. I didn't accept that. So the point is, I'm gonna tell you something. I can laugh. Let's put it this way. For some reason, I don't think you have to bend down and kiss up to make life work for you. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't exactly say that it's a total truth when somebody says, ain't what you say, it's how you say it. Ain't what you do, it's how you do it. But there is some sense in that. See, let's give you an example. I'm in the courtroom, the judge is clowning me. I whispers to the judge, says, Judge, could you please quit, I didn't use the word disrespect. I said, could you
Patronizing?
embarrassing me? Could you quit embarrassing me in front of all these people? You don't think I got locked up? He kicked everybody out but me. And then he went on and had my case. So the point is, I'm gonna tell you something. You don't really have to kiss up. You don't really have to go into silence. I'm gonna tell you, but I can't tell people that you can do what I did and get by or end up as tax-free as I have been.
Because let's be honest, like you said, a lot less than what you did. Those last three, the people that just died in our country by the hands of some law enforcement that they're digging into, did a lot less on some ways than your protests. Is that what you're saying?
Uh,
Like a lot
I'm
less
gonna
bold,
tell you I'm gonna tell you the
right?
truth about it. I'm gonna tell you the truth about it. When I was 22 years old, in the middle of the night in Hope, Arkansas, the baddest policeman in town said to me, "I'm taking you to jail." I looked at him, I said, "No, you're not." He said, "You better shut up talking to me like that." That was it. But I don't
See,
tell
but
people to
that's a
try
perfect
that.
example, right?
I
And
don't
you
tell
shouldn't.
people to try that. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you another story that I told before, I think on that other interview. It was this white guy, and he was calling blacks all kind of names on the CB radio.
This
For
is when you were
some
trucking,
reason,
because you trucked
yeah,
for
when I
10
was
years.
trucking,
Yeah.
and so I said, "Hey, y'all," I says, "Do me a favor, let me talk to this guy." And everybody went to silence. I said, uh, I said, call me all the names in the world you want to call me. Just do me a favor. When you get through, tell me why." Sometimes when you talk to people and they have the tendency to be haters, super racist, and then you can come up with that exact approach and just break the whole spirit. I doubt that man ever went up and down the road calling black people what he called us. And then we start kind of laughing and talking. Now you're talking about forgiveness. As far as I'm concerned, he never did it or never said it. He just is okay with me, if he decide make a change of heart from
But
that
that's the
kind of
right
stuff.
point. But the right
Yeah, I
point,
think
what you're saying is,
yeah.
even though you're sharing those extreme stories, is at the end of the day, whether you knew you were doing it or not, Daddy, is that I've watched you pull over and siphon gas. This is old school for people stranded and put it in their gas. I've watched us pick up with the family in the car, pick up hitchhikers in the middle. This is a different time of travel when we were young. I'm just being real. So my point is, the tough it, and you weren't, there was, you guys, I need y'all to understand something. With current laws in place, there might have been some visits to our home asking John Relaford about the way he would keep us in line. I mean, he did not believe in sparing the rod. Okay. My point is, a tough, but a fair, but a loving man. It doesn't always look like you weren't sitting there doing kumbaya and all that. And even the fact that you responded to oftentimes hate, and that's what I think the statement represents. It's not automatic that it has to be, you came at me with hate, take this. And sometimes that's not the wise choice, and sometimes there's no growth in that. So it doesn't make you a weak person to go, you're giving me hate. Let me pause for a moment, right? And speak love into that. That's not weakness, that's actually strength. Let me pause for a moment and give you a thought. Let me try to understand where you're going from. Just that statement. Listen to what you said to that man. He doesn't even possibly know why he's calling you all these words. He's been programmed to do it. He thinks it's all right. He might be thinking he's getting a rise out of people. You silenced the radio, had a one-on-one talk with him, said, and there's a campaign coming that's going to be just like this, nice and still. Why do you hate me? Man, that'll rock somebody. They really won't. Why do you?
Yeah, just
Why do
tell
you
me
absolutely
why.
hear me? Like, and not in a challenging way. Like, why? I don't think people are really thinking through how basically unnatural and unbelievable blatant racism is. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make human sense. It's not just. I'm not even. It went past anger for me to like disbelief. That's why I launched Mission1Race. I said to myself, people can't actually believe this. There's a part of me that believes more in humanity. Like, people can't actually believe that because I was born with these features in skin and this ethnicity, or that person was born that way, or they had to make that life decision that they're better than them. And not only that, they're less than, and that they would kill them. Like, what I believe, there's something off. I believe there's a disconnect in either understanding, a disconnect in either feeling whatever love, and whatever angle we have to come with. That's our goal. If we have to rewire some missed thoughts, if we have to help their hearts heal from that traumatic incident that happened from a person of that ethnicity, and therefore they're holding against them. If we have to help them, like actually get in connection, what you just said, to the people that they don't understand or haven't had life with, I believe with everything in me, not only that tangibly in a practical way they can change, but that's the supernatural that got in those moments. God adds some supernatural. I just do. And he goes, because that's not healthy. There's not longevity in that. There's brokenness in like a lack of love. Like we're better. We enjoy it. Like there's something in us that is connected, that just wants to see humanity strive, right? In our basic form. Just like, man, why can't we all win? This lack mentality.
You know, Richard, it's an old saying, I think it's a Bible scripture. It says that one man can slay 1,000, 2 men can slay 10,000. So it don't mean that the 2 men have to be black, have to be white. The thing is, if you pool your energy and resources together, it's better for both. It's better for everybody. So that's kind of, well, I know that's kind of part of your mission there.
Community.
Helping people to see these things, helping people to relate to these various emotions of fear and disgust and all the things that really cause negative commotions.
Let me ask you something particular about one of our strategies, and specifically in the Chicagoland area, one of the most racially, ethnically, socioeconomically divided cities in the nation. I don't know if you know that. Like it's always been one of the top. I didn't know that growing up. I just would feel it. You know, there's just certain cities where you just keep pushing. Right? There's just certain cities where you would tell them, you don't go to that one. And it's weird. And you would feel it almost immediately. It's unreal. So we always get on the South. So I want to let the South know that, you know, it's not just the South. You know what I mean? There's pockets even here, right? We think a progressive state in an area like Los Angeles and Southern California. No. When people want to make you feel not welcome, they figure it out. With the lines that they draw, with the expressways they build, expressways with the rules, the way they school, you can feel it. My point for that is we're hoping to plant and throughout the nation what's called one communities. These one communities are an opportunity to literally live out all of these things we just said. So I want not only maybe some insight to the strategy, but do you think that could work? And so let's just the basics of the community, nothing heavy. They meet once a month. They get together. There's a little bit of curriculum that goes through these principles we talk about, because there is some things that need to be learned. They hang out, they eat, right? 80 minutes. And folks, it may be housed at a church, but it's not just for the folks there at the church. It's because they oftentimes have facilities. We have 300,000 churches around. Might as well use the facilities as well to engage the community. And then maybe the other week, 2 weeks later, they go hang out and go roller skate or something like that. Do it next month comes. We move on to forgive, right? They get together. How do you feel about that? That's the strategy.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I mean, Richard.
You said
I was talking action high. He's a dear Richard High. Yeah, that sounds real good, Richard. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I really do believe that this can work. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe the timing is right. The timing is right. In other words, back in the days, there were pockets there were towns or communities where blacks and whites interacted in a perfect fashion. Then somebody from the outside, some cousin from one place or the other come in, and all of a sudden the whites is destroying the blacks. And so those are almost like oases of peace. But I believe we're gonna have a universal type of peace before this is over, when people start, you know, really bringing it together and thrashing it out. You know,
we have to use that.
Gold miners say panning it out, you know. See, getting the goodies out of it.
You heard me, I said that. Like, and I'm not giving you any trademark rights. The one community, an oasis of peace. An oasis of one, like, man, is that powerful, Daddy? That's powerful. We need that.
Well, you had places like Tulsa where blacks was really, you had a thing going, but that was just a kind of a section there. And with small sections like that, the bulk of the people can destroy that. But when you got, look at the world now. You don't know you can't probably go nowhere and say a bunch of stupid stuff
No.
and get no rewards out of it. You know, in
Yeah.
other words, you seeing it being tried. And I'm not going to get off into that.
Yeah.
I mean, people are just soliciting. If you got evil, bring it to me. We can use evil now, because they hate to see peace. They hate to see oneness. They hate to see people that would come and go. Let's get together against the environment. Let's get together against some of the things that really can hurt us all or help us all.
I think the sad part is, and we're going to land the plane here. The sad part is this human nature, the habitual nature of us. And even if you look at the laws of motion, if I do my nerdy engineering side, you say things, you know, I think it's a third law of Newton's laws. Things in motion will stay in motion until acted upon, or things at rest will stay at rest until acted upon. Right. Mixed with that, with the habitual nature of humans, is we're so used to being segregated. We're so used to judging people. Right? It's almost natural. We're so used to stereotyping folks. We're so used to living in a Darwinistic mindset, meaning if you don't have the ability, I don't know, pray to God. We're so used to saying it's ours. You know what I mean? I have to step on someone to get forward. I had this mentality years ago where I just started to realize, like, there's two ways to elevate yourself. Like, climb up and do your best on merit, right? On merit. Or step on somebody. And people like that's what I had often saw in the corporate world. Like, people had left merit on the side, and I think the same thing's happening in our society. So if you would land a plane, and I keep it, you know, you're not very similar when it comes to death. That's why I think you're as surprised as I am that you 81 years old, because it's not like you live careful enough to be 81. Like, I've never had a conversation
I really would
like that, and I feel the same way about 40.
21, really.
Yeah. So you're here at 81 though. If someone's watching this and seeing what you've seen, it's getting to be less and less people that have seen the range of this country that you've seen. How do you lean into talking to them who've really experienced a lot less angst than you, and challenging them to love and maybe try leaning into this Mission 1 race? You know, if you were to say to America, bigger than that, that's just a person, say to America, because that's what we're saying with this 8 hours to choose, no matter how viral, how many people watch it. It already has been thousands. So I'm even happy with that. I would have done it for one person, right? Help them choose love. Like, what would you say, like, as a Black man that sits here that says you believe, though you've been through all these injustices, right, you're going to take every person by themselves, by their own merit, man or woman. Just what would be the final words? And I'm going to end on that. I'm not going to put a cap on it or anything like that. I just want you to express your heart from those years of experience and good and bad, you know, to America and to the individual person considering this mission.
Well, I just kind of believe that the more people that's trying to succeed at a task, the better. You know, it's almost like you just cannot function solo. The world, nature wasn't even made that way. Even the beginning of birth, if you was by yourself and didn't have the aid of your caretakers, you're over. You're over. You can't do nothing by yourself. Nothing. So you might as well figure out what's the best group to get with to get something done. Everybody needs somebody else. Everybody needs somebody else's skill, knowledge, cooperation, in all kinds of ways. And then when you look at the emotional spectrum, sometimes you might want to let people know, I know you got this concern. I know you got that concern, but here's the way we'll deal with that. You know, I know I'm just as scared of this area as you are, or whatever. I'm just as scared of this situation as you are. But let's get together and let's deal with the negatives that you have to deal with, the negatives we have to deal with, and just kind of eliminate as many obstacles, negative obstacles as we can, and move forward. It's a win-win-win-win It don't have to be a win-lose.
No. So can America do it? Can the United States of America
Oh,
do it if
they
we
can do
choose?
it. I believe they're on the right track, and for some reason, I believe that your vision came along at the right time.
All right. I'll there's moments I feel like you're right, and there's moments I feel like a maniac. And I just cry myself to sleep almost. But I tell you what, every person that joins, to your point, I get stronger. Every person that specifically either likes or shares or speaks to how they've been affected, not just, oh, how impressive your words are, nothing like, there's actually a change or a shift, or they feel like their voice is being heard in this. It encourages me. And we have 25 strong on Mission1Race staff, volunteer, or council and board, and it's amazing. They're all amazing.
If you ever wake up one morning and you want to see something negative happen to somebody, then you kind of say, well, I'm on the wrong trail. But every day that you wake up and you want to see something positive happen, you got to be pretty much on the right track there.
Love you, Daddy.
Love you too, Richard.
I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, man.
Take care. Bye.
Oh boy.
I obviously have a certain affection towards that interview because that's my father. Not a uncomplicated, or journey of a relationship there either. But to hear him speak that way after what he's seen and been through, it does motivate, and hopefully motivates all of us, right? I'm already long on this one. I have a few things I want to say, and I don't know why it feels so heavy right now, because we're at hour 7. I'm not depressed. I'm not down at all, but I'm having just a moment where love, agape love, the love of God is for us all, but we have to receive it, love ourselves. That's why, if you remember, the early social change or social justice element that I mentioned was self-love, because a lot of times we're acting out of our own lack of acceptance and love for ourselves, right? And we're projecting that onto others. That's true. And that comes from a lot of times not knowing that we're loved and accepted. And I'm telling you that if you need a earthly face for it, I do. I love and accept you and appreciate you as a human being, divinely, wonderfully detailed, inspired by love. You were made, but also the creator of all loves you. So then that allows us to love ourselves and then share that love, that unmerited, that unconditional love with our brothers and sisters. So the handful of things I wanted to say as we land this plane in just this hour, but so much more will be flushed out. So if these elements, if these principles resonate with you, and there's more, and you want more for your community, for your church, for your corporation, for yourself individually, don't worry, it's coming. That's why we're developing this curriculum called the Journey to Oneness, diversity, inclusion, and oneness, and all of that. That's really what this movement is about. It's the 3 paths through our messaging and movement, through our event and experience, and through our organizational journey, which includes the curriculum as well as partnerships. So don't fret at all. I want to say this: the opposite of love is not hate, actually. Just like love is an action, tangibly motivating and cherishing and bringing folks in and acting on behalf of that, hate materialize looks like the attacks that we saw it's rejection of a human being, not just hate, not just, it's oftentimes indifference, apathy. Think about it. It's the repelling, the repulsion that's the opposite of love. It's the stiff arm. It's the pushing away. It's the I don't want to hear it. I don't care about that suffering, or God help us being a part of that oppression. That's a special type of need. I think if you're looking at the spectrum of one that's being 1 to 100, a person that's a part of the oppression themselves knowingly is on somewhere on the negative side of that scale. But even that, there has to be some glimmer of hope. Thank goodness for all of us, right, who are imperfect. Now I'm talking to every single human being. Everyone that doesn't think that, I can just hang with you for a day, and I'm pretty sure I would find a couple of things that I'm like, that's probably not the best thing to do or say, right, in life. The other thing I want to say is that though love is here at 7 and it does complete the journey of sorts, think of all the things, the steps, the principles that we covered to get to this point, and don't forget the next step. Because if we just said love, so the next step, act, that we're going to talk about tomorrow in the final of the 8 hours to choose, is critical. And what does that action look like? And what are the standards for that action? So we landed here, always with a social factor as well as a social element. Number 7 on the social change factor and what actually can change. And if you're looking for each of those factors, all you got to do is go back to each of our hours to choose, and or, like I said, lean in, reach out to us saying you're interested in going through this curriculum or bringing this to yourself or your organization, and we'll customize it. This is not necessarily the curriculum journey. It's best in a one community setting, but I just, we felt called to do this and build this plane as we're flying it. Is commitment. So number 7 on the social change factor is commitment. I don't need to tell you that we're going to find out what that social change factor looks like very soon here. And if some of you have already felt it, because it's not as popular, it's not as hashtagging as much, it's not as tweeting as much, do you see how the embers are already starting to not glow, and they're not as hot in this conversation around one area of specific human reconciliation? Because again, Mission1Race is human reconciliation, everyone in the margins. But racial reconciliation, or as I call it, ethnic reconciliation, was on everybody's everything just a few weeks ago. Slowly. That's the dangerous part. Commitment says, even when it's not popular, I'm in. And that's why I'm glad we launched in a season where this was not on everyone's heart and mind, because it was the obedience in that we're at this position to be in it for the long haul. The next thing is the social justice element, is awareness raising. I'm not asking you, or this element is not asking you to become, right, a public lobbyist for something that you're new into the conversation. It's just saying, what does your step look like? And we're going to help you with some of that tomorrow. Some of it's indirect. Maybe it is a post. Maybe it is a like. Maybe it is giving to an organization like Mission1Race or even World Vision that's saying, hey, we have an issue with people in certain countries of their children dying of basic needs. We're talking about the same story here. Love says, no, that child dying anywhere, it's not okay. Okay, so let's land the plane with our 3 points and 3 CTAs. And I know we're over a bit. Thank you for your patience, but I hope you think it's well worth it. I always have insecurity about how we're approaching these, but I always try to approach them with an area and a level of humility, because I don't have it figured out, just like no one for the last completely 2,000 something years, and specifically in this country 244 something years. Because let me tell you what, if you did have it figured out, and if you haven't told all of us and helped implement it and start a movement behind it, then actually shame on you, because we need it. So that's why we're humbly leaning into this Mission 1 Race, because we feel like uniquely we've been placed here, and a group of people that are being called into it. We're saying it in a way that's non-threatening, right? But also holding to a high level of accountability. And I submit that even oneness is greater than even just saying justice, because you can give justice from a distance and of an obligation, but you can't be one with another human being without really getting to that eye-to-eye level, that heart-to-heart level. I see you, you see me. As Mother Teresa says, I always go back and said, we belong to each other. I dare challenge you that she is like aligned with what Jesus is saying with love God with all your heart, might, and understanding, and love others as you love yourself. You saw that actually 3 types of love in there, yourself and then others, or simultaneously others. And she's saying not only love them, know that we belong to them. I belong to you. You belong to me in the human stance of the in agape love. So here's the 3 things. We are the United States of America, the collection of us human beings, that we are divinely in this season and time, not accidentally alive. So what do we do with this moment in front of us? Number 2, we have the freedom to choose. And if we have that freedom to choose, which not everyone has, but we do. So there's our responsibility with freedom, right? Then choose love, not hate. Choose mission over self, meaning us, others, and choose oneness over separation, bias, prejudice, discrimination, racism, sexism, phobia, judgment, of rejection, repulsion, and even tolerance or color blindness, anything like that. Choose oneness, love over it. Yeah, it never feels like enough, but we'll stop there. I'll see you all tomorrow. So come back tomorrow, our final hour. Number 2, go ahead and watch Mission 1 Race, The Search for Oneness. You can find it right on our webpage or on our YouTube channel. Okay. And last but not least, share this video. Again, I don't confuse my countenance with any sadness. It's just, it does weigh heavy on my heart, but I do believe. I'm not doing this for popularity. I'm not doing this for attention. I'm not doing this because I believe that, yes, this is a daunting task, but we can do it if enough of us collectively move forward. God bless you.